Ryan Villopoto is 2 for 2 to start the 2013 season.
Ryan Villopoto wins both motos here in Hangtown. He has a perfect season going. 4 motos, 4 wins.
As the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Series gets set to christen its newest venue at Muddy Creek, the contenders for the 450 crown look for a change at the top of the podium. KTM's Ryan Dungey, Honda's Justin Barcia, and Suzuki's James Stewart all look to put an end to Villopoto's dominance. For the first time since the 1997 opener, professional motocross returns to the South as the world's best riders get set for gate drop in Tennessee.
Welcome to round 3 of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship sanctioned by MA Pro Racing. It's the first ever Built Ford Tough Tennessee National. Hello everyone, Jason Wygant joined by 3-time Pro Motocross champion Jeff Emig here for the inaugural National at Muddy Creek Raceway just outside of Bristol, Tennessee. Give you the top storylines we're going to be following here live on the NBC Sports Network. Start with our 450 class, Ryan Villopoto. What more can you say? 4 motos in the book so far this year. He's won all 4. That means 2 overall wins through our first 2 rounds. He's the man everyone is shooting for. But there are some signs of life through the rest of the field. Let's talk about one of the rookies, Justin Barcia. Led a bunch of laps at our last race at Colorado. You know he's going to get faster and faster as the year goes on. We'll see what Barcia's capable of today. And again, the debut for this race. This track has been around for many, many years on the amateur circuit. It's gotten a big facelift and upgrade, and now it's ready for its debut on the pro schedule. So we'll swing it over to Jeff Emig here to talk a little bit about that. It's a change in a variety of ways. Not only a change for this track, but also for the riders who are, for the first time in a while, facing a track on this circuit they haven't ever raced on before. It's been a while since we've had a new one.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, Ryan Villopoto has been dominant. I do feel that the field is getting closer to him, and now we have this new track at Muddy Creek that no one on the professional level has ever raced at. They've revamped this track, massive jumps. It's going to be really challenging here today, and this ground just may be the equalizer because let's face it, Josh Grant was our fastest qualifier on a Yamaha, and you know, Villopoto's going to have his hands full here today.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the favorites struggled in qualifying practice, so this track could be an X factor. For more, let's send it down to the starting line with Kelly Stavist.
Josh Grant is indeed our fastest qualifier, maybe taking a few people by surprise. And Josh, I'd ask you how you like the new track here at Muddy Creek, but I'm guessing it suits you pretty well.
Yeah, no, I do really enjoy it. You know, it's always good to come to new places, and for me, it's really exciting. So I'm just glad that you know, Yamaha and JGR and Toyota have been behind me, and we've done really good to step it up this last couple weeks. So I'm hoping to kind of bring that momentum into the race.
Yeah, it seems like the pace just gets stepped up year to year. What do you need to do, getting to pick your own gate here and that great qualifying to translate that into a solid finish?
Yeah, you know, definitely you need a good solid gate pick, and for me, it's always been about getting a good start, which would help me out in the races. So just looking forward to trying to get a good start and putting this bike up front.
All right, thanks, Josh. And qualifying third, we had Justin Barcia, and he's coming off quite the weekend at Thunder Valley, a couple of hole shots and an overall podium. Do you feel like that momentum is carried on here at Muddy Creek?
Definitely. You know, I felt great in practice. It's nice to be out here. A couple family and friends. It's not too far from my home, and just looking to get out there, get some great starts, and run the front pace. You know, try to get a win. It'll be great.
All right. They say this track is a great equalizer, and no one knows what to expect. We'll find out soon enough. Coming up, we've got Moto 1 for the 450 class here at Muddy Creek.
The Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Lucas Oil, the world leader of high-performance lubricants and problem-solving additives. By Kawasaki, let the good times roll. And by Octane Academy Season 2, founded by Ford.
A huge crowd has gathered. These folks have been waiting a generation. It's been 15 years since they've had a Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship event in the Southeast, but that was in Gainesville, Florida. We are in Tennessee today. Motocross country through here for sure. People have come from probably 8 or 12 states to watch this one, and here's the track they're going to get to watch the racing on. You can see it with our Kawasaki track map. Jeff, let the good times roll.
Well, Muddy Creek has definitely been vamped up for this first Pro National here. You're going to drop the gate up to start. Hard clay base here, and there's a lot of like loose, muddy topsoil. Track was really muddy and rutted in practice. It's going to harden up as the day goes on, but it's going to be difficult. Red Bull tabletop here, and then this massive jump here that early on, guys were even having trouble making some of the obstacles. But now this sunny weather, 90-degree day, you know, this track is changing. It's drying out. The lines are going to open up right here. Massive jump here. The bomber triple, just one of the many obstacles, man-made obstacles that they put into this track. But you can see here in East Tennessee, these are just rolling grassy hills everywhere. This track, to me, looks like a lot of fun. As the day goes on, it's probably going to be a little less fun because it's going to be so rough and gnarly. Go through a couple of switchbacks here. The one thing when they add these natural or these man-made jumps here to this natural terrain, it makes it a lot of fun. So bottom line, it's going to be difficult because you're going to have to be on the pegs a lot. You're going to have to really look ahead and be smooth through your turns. Behind the starting line, up over a little step up onto the start straight.
And now we'll show you what it looks like to ride this on the motorcycle. It's a Yoshimura Suzuki with James Stewart and a GoPro Hero Cam on board. What do you see here, Jeff?
Well, there's great HD quality out of the GoPro, but from the looks of it, this is first round of qualifying practice. You can see how muddy it is. Listen, see these lines all over. Look, they're going wide because the inside is too muddy. But check this out. The bomber triple, the fans absolutely love this.
Nice.
Pretty much going wide open on a 450 to make it up there.
And the bomber himself, Mark, the bomber Barnett, 3-time champion of this series. He's the one that did the nip and tuck to turn this track into a great regional facility, into a professional national racetrack. Now, the final thing we'll show you here is the MotorcycleSuperstore.com whole shot rules. The start is everything in motocross, and this year they're actually rewarding the riders with a whole bunch of money. At the end of the year, the rider that gets the most whole shot points will win $25,000. You get those points by getting whole shots. Moto 1 pays 1 point, Moto 2 pays 2, and if you get both whole shots in one day, you get a bonus point, so there will be a total of 4 points. And what's interesting, Jeff, the first 2 rounds, we've had one rider whole shot both motos. James Stewart got both at Hangtown, their opener, and then a week ago, Justin Barsha got both at round 2 in Colorado. So they're tied 4-4.
1 point for the first, 2 for the second, and then the bonus point for getting both of them. And this man hasn't gotten any of the whole shots.
Hadn't needed him. Ryan Villapoto, he's got the red plate, and the reason he has it is because he is your series points leader. He's won the first 2 rounds. He has not got the starts, like you said, but man, he has made some passes, and he makes them in a hurry. Give you the 411 to show you exactly how motocross works. We're going to run 2 classes. First our 450s, and then we'll bring out the smaller 250 bikes later on today, and they will each race 2 motos. We total up the scores in each to determine an overall winner for the day. But Villapoto has made the math awfully easy so far this year by winning both motos at both races.
Yeah, and he has not got great starts. I mean, he's been up there top 5, but he's passed the best riders on the track, reigning champion Ryan Dungey, along the way. So he's been dominant, but that gap, I feel, is closing, and maybe the equalizer here will be this brand new track here at Muddy Creek.
And for some of the hardcore fans out here, shout out to Robbie Marshall, who qualified on a 252 stroke for this 450 class. Let's go racing at Muddy Creek. And the first ever MotorcycleSuperstore.com whole shot ever at this track is going to go to Ryan Villapoto.
Unbelievable. Here we're talking about how his starts haven't really been on par, but whoa! Almost slides out there. Still grabs the whole shot. This will be your finish line area right through here.
It's Villapoto on the 2, then the 51 of Justin Barsha, the 800 Mike Alessi, then the red 41 is Trey Kennard. There goes James Stewart on the yellow number 7 around the outside. That line did not pay off. Stewart got passed by the blue number 10 of Justin Braden. Now Barsha takes the lead from Villapoto.
Well, Barsha has been strong this last week in Colorado. He was definitely on the gas. Oh, and now he shuts the door on Villapoto. Here we come around the right-hand turn up to the bomber triple for the first time ever.
And they're going to see 2 riders do it together. Villopoto on the inside. Barsha on the outside.
Oh,
Will
he's
that line hold up? No, he loses a little bit of ground. Wheel to wheel going back downhill. Who's going to take it? Villopoto just able to grab the lead from Barsha. Great racing here in the opening lap.
Side by side through this new section, the tabletops, and whoops.
Barsha's not done, Jeff. He's going to go to work on Villopoto again. He's on the outside.
That's what you got to do. Villopoto has been so strong, and so how do you beat the guy that's won everything? You have to push harder. You have to go into your red zone.
And Barsha's doing it. He's knifing across the track, trying to follow lines. You see the 800 of Alessi back in third. They're opening up a little bit of distance.
For the KTM fans, your reigning champion, Ryan Dungey, shows that he's running in 11th right now. So Dungey, usually pretty consistently good off his starts, did not get a good start here today in Moto 1.
Barsha following the lines here. Alessi and Kennard now battling for third. Kennard has taken it from the 800 with James Stewart right there on the number 7.
Well, this is one of the parts of the track where they took the dozers and the machinery out, changed it, tried to smooth it out a little bit, kind of dig some of those ruts out.
Stewart now has Alessi in his sights. A couple of rollers here. Gonna work their way back downhill. This whole track is basically either going up or down or across the hillsides. Virtually no flat sections. Stewart gonna go the long way around to try to get Alessi.
And then he funnels into these ruts here. No, not gonna happen that time around, and this inside rut here has been the chosen line. And look how this is how practice was the entire track. It's dried out a tremendous amount. That's why they've added a lot of compost and wood chips and different organic soils to the track, to this clay that is naturally here to help keep the moisture in.
Stewart has turned a lot of laps here, way back in his younger days. Alessi, who's from California, had actually traveled across the country when he was 13 years old
Stewart's
to
gotta
do some
run.
laps here. They're familiar with the track. There goes Stewart to the inside. And still Alessi able to hold him back. And then you have Dungey and the 35 Ryan Sykes coming through next.
Yeah, so Dungey shows he's in 6th right now. He's making some moves. Meanwhile, Alessi is making it really hard for Stewart.
Not hard enough. Stewart able to make the pass finally. It took him about a lap of putting serious heat on the 800. And Alessi's still showing him a wheel down on the inside.
It's one of those sections of the track where early on, especially after they've worked on it, everyone's really going to funnel to the inside, to the short line. But this track deteriorates really quickly. And as those inside ruts start to get rough and they get big hooks in them where there's multiple turns throughout the turn, you know, you have those like double apexes, that outside will start to work in and be a better line.
How about Barsha hanging right with your former series champ 2011, Ryan Villopoto, and your series points leader this year? Barsha's learning quite quickly here in his rookie season.
Well, Villopoto is just on rails right now, and you can see all that roost flying up. When it's soft, it's sand. Roost isn't that big a deal, but on a track like this, where they're digging into that Tennessee clay, that's like, what they use around here, buckshot? That's coming right at you. Okay, and so Barsha's at the disadvantage. He's taking on a lot of roost, especially in this sections right through here.
Villopoto has the lead, partially by virtue of this MotorcycleSuperstore.com whole shot.
Look at that, 40 riders lined up, bar to bar. Villopoto coming from about the middle. He had 5th gate pick here today.
That's
Barely.
close.
Barsha was right there coming across the line, even though Villopoto had it through the mid-turn.
Well, Barsha means business today. Oh, we got a rider down.
And it's like a two-stroke, the bike on the right.
So
that is definitely a two-stroke pipe.
Well, that is definitely Robbie Marshall. That's Trey Kennard is the other rider down. So it's Robbie Marshall and Trey Kennard. Kennard, remember, was battling Alessi and Stewart, trying to get inside that top 3. And now he is down, and he has been solid and consistent so far this year. Been in the top 5 in all of his motos. Not the case here.
Yeah, and that could have possibly been Marshall, because he wasn't inside of the top 5 or 6 riders where Trey Kennard was.
Yeah.
He might have been a lap down, had gone down, something like that.
Hard to figure. Good just to see Trey is up and okay, but you can see the motorcycle has taken an impact.
Look at the right side of the handlebars there, and the whole front end is really twisted up. Let's see if he... well, the mechanics area is on the other side, but watch the right-hand side of your track here on this replay that we have with Trey Kennard. Give us an idea of just how his... so that was Kennard.
That's all by himself.
Oh, Kennard goes down by himself.
It must be
There's
Marshall then
Alessi.
coming through later.
Oh, Alessi, so close.
Well done by Alessi, and same thing with Sipes
there. Oh, so Marshall.
And look at Kennard, by the way, motioning to the riders on the left side. You see he's motioning the riders, trying to draw their attention.
He's right in the line right there. Malcolm Stewart, he goes from left to right. Tickle, he says, I'm just going to go straight on over it.
And Kennard doing everything he can to try to let the riders know he's there.
Okay, so, wow.
So Marshall must have caught that a little later in the lap. Let's go down to Kelly with an update on Kennard. Kelly?
Well, it's certainly been a tough couple of weeks for Trey Kennard off the track as well. The Oklahoma native has had to withstand those devastating, deadly tornadoes. First the one in Moore and also in his hometown 20 a week ago. And then just last night, another one ripped through the area of his hometown. His brother, along with two of our own, Georgia Lindsay and her husband, Jimmy Albertson, were at the home. They had to take shelter in the storm shelter. Everything's okay for them, but it was another deadly tornado. You'll see that he does have the word Oklahoma on his jersey today.
Thanks, Kelly. And we've got a battle on our hands for the lead. Justin Barsha not going anywhere. He's caught back up to Villopoto. And for about half of that lap, he looked like he was looking for a way around the number 2.
Well, he definitely has some hot lines in that side of the track right there. You see Kennard, Barsha's teammate, getting his bike straightened out there in the mechanics area. But this is the type of ride. This is how you beat a guy like Villopoto, is you apply the pressure. You have to keep trying, lay it all on the line. I mean, let's face it, Villopoto has been so strong. He has shown very little weakness in the first 4 rounds. So Barsha trying to do something really special here in Moto 1 at this inaugural Muddy Creek National.
And we'll send it back down to Kelly with another update on Kennard. This one about the pit stop, Kelly.
Yeah, lengthy pit stop here for Trey Kennard. And the team looks to be going to work here on the front of the bike. It looks like they've been messing with the suspension, a bit with the handlebars as well. They got Trey a fresh pair of goggles. They were pretty muddied up after that fall he took, but certainly this is going to cost him. You know he'll want to get out there and see if he can salvage anything for a long stop here for Trey Kennard.
Yeah, and the real salvage there would be to try to get inside the top 20, which is where we start with our points-paying position. 20 is 1 point and works its way on up, but really unlikely now that he's been out for so long that he would be able to get up to that position. Now, as a rider, I can tell you that it is in his best interest to go back out onto the track if the bike is safe and straight, and get a feel for the track. Remember, they don't have a lot of laps on this track, so he needs the experience for Moto 2.
And I would assume the track would change quite a bit from the beginning of the race to the end.
Certainly from qualifying practice to the second Moto. If you basically miss all of the first Moto, you really be at a disadvantage once the next race comes around.
Barsha still there, hanging out on the rear fender of Villopoto. This is one of the strongest runs we've seen anyone have this year. Villopoto has had to fight his way through traffic to get the lead a few times this year, but once he's gotten it, no one has been able to keep him in sight. That's exactly what Barsha was doing right now. And with the crash from Kennard, who was third, the third place rider now is Stewart, but there's a pretty big gap. It's 12 seconds, so it is a one-on-one battle for the lead.
Barsha putting in some strong effort right now, and that's really important at this part of the championship.
The rookie is definitely learning some lessons. It's pretty cool parking with so many fans out here, finding all kinds of ways to get him trackside. Today, the NHL Conference Finals begin on the NBC Sports Network at 4:30. The defending champion Kings take on the Blackhawks. And tonight at 8, the Bruins face Sidney Crosby and the Penguins on NBC. It's the NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs on NBC and the NBC Sports Network. Great racing here at the inaugural Built Ford Tough Tennessee National. Malcolm Stewart in the 32. Lucas Oil Troy Lee Designs Honda is down. He was in 13th place. Struggled to get that thing refired, but up front, Ryan Villopoto leading. Justin Barsha just continues to apply the pressure in the number 2 spot, not letting your series leader get away. There's Barsha not too far back.
Yeah, Barsha's faded just a little bit. That lap was only a couple tenths off, and where he's at right now, he may take on a little less roost off the back of Villopoto's Kawasaki, but still keep him in sight. The good thing is that Barsha has had a chance to ride with Villopoto at his speed. Seems to be really comfortable there. Now we're nearing the halfway point. We'll see if his fitness is there, if his focus is there, and if he keeps it there about that 1 to 2 second gap, on down towards the end of the race and then have a shot to win the moto.
And now we see who is there in third. It's Ryan Dungey. Had a good battle with James Stewart. They went back and forth once or twice to get into that third position, and he did it. We'll show you how the number 1 made it happen.
Yeah, watch as they come into this right-hander through the mechanics area. You see the mechanics with the signboards out. And watch this line. Villopoto catches this little rut right here. Does not hesitate. Makes it look easy.
Stewart, grab that rut. Hey, Villopoto on the brain. Okay, good. We're good. Stewart. Stewart's been fourth.
Dungey and Stewart. You guys know that.
These are the guys that have been on the podium in the majority of the motos this year. But you gotta wonder, this kid, Barsha, really learning quickly. He's the only other rider on the podium, got a third in a moto last week. And then Stewart got by him in the second moto. This time he might beat them both. Then you see Alessi and Sipes. Alessi is fifth. Sipes here, the number 35 Rockstar Energy Racing Machine. Sixth, then it's Clement de Sal, the Belgian, in seventh.
And Sipes has really been in about this position all season. Qualified 7th again today. He's qualified as high as 5th, I believe, at the opening round, 5th to 6th. So just really having a great season there for that Rockstar Energy Racing.
Yeah, and his primary focus, of course, the FIM Grand Prix Championships, the World Championships in Europe, but he's on a little racing vacation here.
Yeah, Sipes is down. DeSalle goes by, his temporary teammate.
That's right. They are pitting together out of the Rockstar Energy Racing ring. Oh, Sipes just can't get the bike up. There goes Rattray in the 28, 49 at Nicoletti, 33 at Graham. Brayton coming through as well. That might bump him out of the top 10.
Yeah, Brayton was 11th. Let's see if he picks the position off as Sipes is trying to regather his focus here. Good thing he's got that GoPro HD on top of his helmet. He's going to get to see exactly. And that's the advantage that the riders have when you run a camera like that, is you literally can go back and review things. They barely had television back in my day.
They do now. Lucky for you. Here is the 29 of Andrew Short. The orange bike is a BTOsports.com KTM, so he's in this fight. It's a 4-rider duel. 2 of the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Yamaha riders. Grant here, the 33, Brayton, then Sipes and Short.
Well, how about Grant here today? Qualified fastest in both qualifying practices.
Yeah.
Had been really impressive. Didn't quite get the start that he needed to run up front with the leaders, but he's in a building process right now, trying to get his career, build that foundation again, become more consistent, and so far so good as he runs right at 10th here today.
And the battle in front of him is Rattray and Nicoletti. Then it's the 10 of Brayton, the 35, Sipes, the 29 of Short. These guys all over each other.
Sipes right there just plowing some dirt. Got the rear tire over the berm, then the front tire just really relying on the horsepower of that bike to pull him through. But he's got some company now with the BTOsports.com KTM of Andrew Short. He's working his way forward.
Well, how tough is it, Jeff, if you're Sipes and you're running a good solid pace and you go down, struggle to pick the bike up, how hard is it to get your speed back?
Well, it's frustrating, and it takes away from your focus. So usually it takes you a lap or two to get back in your groove. So coming back around to that same section, once he gets past the finish line, but you can tell his lap time has dropped off about 1.5 seconds from where it was at previously.
And just an update up front, Villopoto extending it over Barsha now to about 4 seconds. So he has pushed the pace. You're wondering if Barsha can stay with him the whole time? We'll find out, but we are past the halfway mark. I want to remind you folks, in 15 minutes on the phone, you can save 15% or more on your car and motorcycle insurance. You see that Geico countdown clock top of the screen. It'll count down to 0. Then we'll have 2 laps to go. Jeff?
Yeah, I was going to say there with Sipes, he was running right about a 2:02, 2:03. He fell. That lap time was a 2:21. So typically, if you fall down, you can get back up in about 7 or 8 seconds, but you can see that cost him close to 20 seconds.
Next up, Brock Tickle, the Ram Siquan Casino Suzuki, the number 20. Tickle is 13th, so he's going to try to catch that Short and Sipes battle.
Yeah, qualified 9th here today. First round of qualifying in the muddy, wet session. He was really good, so once again, not getting off the gate like he needs to at this point of his career. If he can get off the gate, he starts to run the pace of the front runners. He's got his work cut out for him coming from behind him.
Tickle originally out of Cary, North Carolina, said he grew up racing on this track as a kid. He's one of many people happy to see Muddy Creek finally on the Pro National map. We'll see if he can work his way toward a top 10 and make some of the local fans proud as Ryan Villopoto's getting away from everyone else here at Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Jeff Emig, and if you have that fun-loving power sports family that loves to go away on weekend adventures, blasting around trails and exploring, the Kawasaki TRX4 is the vehicle for you. This vehicle is perfect for a family or a crew of off-road enthusiasts. It's got stadium seating for 4, thick high-back cushioned seats, tons of legroom, tons of headroom. It has these integrated doors for protection from debris and the elements, cup holders and 12-volt outlets, front and rear. I mean, this vehicle is totally rugged, off-road capable, very durable, and it's fun to drive. So for the ultimate and off-road power sports fun, the Kawasaki TRX4 is perfect for you.
Back here at Muddy Creek in Tennessee. Good racing here just outside the top 10, trying to get inside the 35 of Ryan Sipes. Then in front of him, the 10 of Justin Brayton on the blue bike, and the green bike, Tyler Rattray, number 28. 3-rider duel, 9th, 10th, 11th.
Watch the battle here. Rattray's, or Sipes gets him.
Yeah, makes the move.
Makes the move on Brayton there. Took that tight line coming up towards that straightaway. There's a lot of these turns here off cambers, and that turn just leading up to that straightaway with those rollers and tabletop. Pretty extreme, but you can see Sipes now starting to get his focus back, get his speed back, and drop the lap time. Last time around he was a 2:05. He's capable of running like a 2:02.
Capable of getting around both Brayton and now Rattray. So Sipes, who was gunning for a top 5 earlier in this one, crashed, has now worked his way back to 9th. So well done. There's Rattray, Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider, a veteran out of South Africa, coming back. Side by side, he goes past the mechanics signaling area with Sipes.
Sipes, native of Vine Grove, Kentucky. Not far from here, probably used to riding on soil like this. You know he's turned some laps here at Muddy Creek throughout his amateur career.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been the home track for him growing up. Now, of course, based in California, but he gets back here to Kentucky as often as he can. I'm sure he's happy to be here this weekend. Now the battle is for that final spot in the top 10 between Brayton on the 10 and Rattray, the number 28.
And speaking of the locals here, I mean, seriously, we have to give a shout out to these fans. They have been unbelievable how much excitement they have, and they just can't believe that their track, Muddy Creek, is now hosting the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship round.
The Brayton and the JGR Toyota Yamaha team were here a few days ago at press day. They were one of the first to get a look at the track. They were scheduled to come here a couple of weeks ago, but they got rained out. Mark Barnett, legend of the sport, is the one that put the finishing touches on this revamped layout. And that's why that big triple jump here is called the Bomber, named after Mark the Bomber Barnett. Now just behind this group should be Short and Tickle, who we saw earlier, and I think Chad Reed will be in that group also. So this is the story in the 450 class this year, Jeff. We've been talking about it since the opening of the series. Unbelievable how deep the field is. You're talking world-class riders like Short here, not inside the top 10 because there are so many fast guns.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this. In qualifying here today, we talked about Robbie Marshall out of Stowe, Massachusetts, riding that two-stroke, 250cc two-stroke. He was 16th, Stewart was 17th, Chad Reed here 18th, and Jake Weimer 19th.
Those are riders
That's just inside of the top 20, and these are former champions.
Yeah, riders that have won titles, won races. Here is Reed, who has been struggling with a pretty nasty illness here the last couple of weeks, but continues to fly the flag for his 22 Motorsports discount tire team. And now he has pressure from another one of the Belgian riders, Strybos, who's in 15th.
Yeah, and for Reed here, struggling like this, he's got something physically going on. Now we're starting to get into the longer motos, the hotter days of summer. It's not going to get any better. Okay, it's only going to get more difficult. So really shows the determination here of Chad Reed, working hard, riding for his own team, 22 Motorsports. And I can tell you, this is going to be a lot of sacrifices he's going to have to put out physically and mentally here this summer.
Yeah, he's got to be hurt, especially now you see the countdown clock top of the screen. It's a 30-minute and 2-lap moto, and there are still 5 more minutes, 4.5, before the 2-lap board comes out.
Kevin Strybos there, the 922, did not get a great start here in Moto 1, but the 2 rounds that Kevin and his teammate Kamal Desal are doing here, they have really showed some speed and determination late in the motos. These guys have been really strong. Of course, these riders coming over from the World Championship that races primarily in Europe.
Trying to make the move on Reed here to get into 14th. Like we said, world-class talent, struggling to just get inside the top 10. I think it's Tickle, though, not too far in front of them. So as much pressure as Reed is dealing with from Strybos, he is about to apply to the number 20 of Tickle. So a 3-rider duel now.
Riders, 3 riders over the bomber triple jump there. Massive step-up jump that they've built here.
So here we go, jumping back downhill, and they'll take these rollers up it. And Tickle, there he is. Like we said, spent a lot of time racing on this track growing up. But like most of these riders, is primarily based out in California now. Certainly spent some time in Florida also, though, at the home of the team owner for that squad, Ricky Carmichael. And certainly learned some lessons there.
The greatest of all time himself, Ricky Carmichael, is on hand here today.
Yeah. So that's cool to have Ricky here. This is joined up with Kerry Hart's RCH racing team this season as a co-owner. And this is the first year that team has raced in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. They were primarily a supercross team. So good to see them bringing talent like Tickle out here to the races. Reed hanging in there, not yielding to the Belgian. I think that's the thing with Reed, man. I've said it before. Like a pitcher who just knows how to get guys out. Even when he doesn't have his best stuff, he's able to make it happen. He's able to hold Strybos off.
So who are we looking at now then? Nolan Ryan?
He has his best stuff. There's no doubt about it. Throwing fastballs that they can't hit. And he's pulled away. Marshall, though, did a great job. First, 15, 16, 17 minutes. Stayed right with him.
Yeah, now it's an 8-second lead. Marshall actually turned a quicker lap by about 0.6 of a second last lap around, but he's still 8 seconds behind, and that's going to kind of go back and forth here as they get into some of these lap riders.
So Villopoto going to try to continue on his spectacular run early in 2013. He's won every race so far, and he's leading again today. Pretty cool deal here a few weeks ago. Our own Jeff Emig, who is already a member of the AMA Hall of Fame, presented with the AMA Hall of Fame ring from AMA President Rob Digman.
Yeah, pretty special honor there. Obviously, it says class of 2004, but now they've gone back and given all of the members these really cool rings. And it's great. The museum and everything has got so much great stuff going on. I'm actually going to give some some gear there and things here pretty soon.
We got some good stuff going on here on the track. We got Stewart on the number 7, Yoshimura Suzuki, then the Rockstar Suzuki of Clement Desal, the Belgian, and they are duking it out for Ford. Desal doing everything to find a line on this track to get around Stewart.
Well, and as you can see, that some of the riders said earlier today in qualifying practice, the track was kind of one line. Now that it's dried out, you see there are so many lines. Stewart was inside, Desal was outside, so they're really having to work hard, but Desal has really been impressing me. I can't explain how hard it would be just to step into somebody else's championship and race on new tracks. I guess the advantage that he would have is that Stewart hasn't raced on this track as a professional either. So it's the first moto for both of them.
And the 2-day format that they run in the Grand Prix Series in Europe compared to the 1-day format here. Here you practice in the morning, you race in the afternoon, you go home. That's a big adjustment for these European riders as well. So he has overcome all those challenges, although Stewart has responded to his challenge and has actually stretched it out a bit.
Stewart has definitely stepped it up here, and Desal's going to have to work hard because Stewart last time around turned a 2:05, and Desal was a 2:04. So maybe the second half of the lap here, you're going to see that this is the part of the track where Desal can really find some hot lines, close it back up. Oh, and it looks like James is getting ready to lap his little brother Malcolm, who's gone down, I believe, a couple of times.
Back to your leader, Ryan Villopoto. 1 lap to go, and the lead is nearly 10 seconds. And I think halfway through this race, Barsha was right behind him. But it just seems like whenever he chooses to drop the hammer, things change in a hurry.
Yeah, Villopoto really has had a fantastic race, made very little mistakes right here. You see him, awesome technique through there. Instead of being down on the seat with his left leg out, he's on the pegs, making sure that he doesn't clip his boot, clip his toes at all in these deep ruts. He's standing up through there. That was pretty cool.
And there's that bomber triple for the last time. You don't see Barsha back there any longer. But Villapoto did it this time with the start on this track. If he gets a bad one, is there a chance someone can hold him back? Or is his passing skills so impressive that he can still make it happen?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's the man right now, but I believe that the second motos, the gap has been a little bit closer.
Okay.
But like you mentioned just a minute ago, you know, this lead of 8.7 seconds last time around at the finish really came in the second half of the race. That's when he really started to stretch it out. And he's been strong in the first motos. That second half here, in all three of the first motos this year, he has really poured it on.
Certainly firing on all cylinders. He and that Monster Energy Kawasaki team, his trainer Alden Baker, everyone around him pulling in the same direction, and that's pulling them all towards moto wins and overall wins. Down past the mechanics area for the last time. We'll get the signal from his tuner, Mike Williamson.
Boy, if you were a young motocross rider and you were wanting to learn Villapoto's lines and technique, what would you pay for the footage of his GoPro on his helmet right now?
That'd be awesome. For free on the web. GoPro will show you.
Can?
Yes,
okay.
GoPro will put a link up in a couple of days.
Fair enough.
You can watch it all you want. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do it after you've seen it happen. Heck, the other riders, that'd be a shortcut for them too. And there it is, checkered flag. Ryan Villapoto wins the first professional moto ever here at Muddy Creek. We still have a race going. Dassault has caught Stewart, and it's not over.
Stewart's got a little cushion right here, but you can see Dassault has he's just kept pouring it on. I mean, that'd be a big accomplishment, okay? That's James Stewart up front, former champion, right? So a lot of incentive there.
And I was talking to some of the people that watched Dassault on the Grand Prix Tour, and they said this happens a lot. He'll go fast for a while, close up, maybe not make the move, and that's the way it's going to end here. Wasn't able to get Stewart a good, strong charge to the end. Stewart takes fourth, Dungey third, Barsha second, and there is your winner. Ryan Villapoto, his wife on the right, his trainer on the left, his mechanic right there in the middle, and they're all working together, and it's certainly working for them. Welcome back. It's the first annual Built Ford Tough Tennessee National from Muddy Creek Raceway, just outside of Bristol, Tennessee. Just completed our first 450 moto. Let's show you how it went down with our Lucas Oil race recap. At the start of the race, we said that Ryan Villapoto hasn't been getting the starts all year, but then he does get your whole shot today, immediately passed by the 51 of Justin Barsha. They scrap it out for the #1 position.
Well, Barsha, he was really working hard. This is the first lap. They're still side by side. Villapoto would come out on top.
Interesting how this would turn out. Third place rider Trey Kennard crashed big time, bent up the bike, luckily didn't hurt himself.
Blind spot of the track right here. You see number of riders barely missing him. Robbie Marshall on the 252 stroke wasn't so lucky.
Then we got a battle for third now. Kennard's out, so it's going to be Dungey versus Stewart. Ryan Dungey makes the pass, putting his KTM in the #3 position. Checkered flag. Villapoto pulls away from Barsha in the second half of this race, and that completes your podium. I'll show you the rest of the results here. A couple of key rides here just outside the top 5 positions. Josh Grant, best run so far this year for him, 7th, and Phil Nicoletti on the NFAB Tylube Yamaha. I believe that's a career best for him in 8th. Just outside of that top 10, Strybos was able to get Reed for 14th. Nick Way scores his first point of the year with a 19th. Let's send it down to the podium.
Well, the win streak continues for Ryan Villapoto, but Ryan, when I talked to you after the first practice, you didn't sound too fond of this track. Now that you've got a moto win and a whole shot, feeling any different?
I mean, no. You know, I think we all have to ride the same thing. It's great that I got the moto win, but for sure, when we come back next year, I think we need to see the track change a little bit, get a little bit bigger, make it easier to pass on. Luckily, I didn't have to pass the Dunlops, and my Monster Energy Kawasaki got me off to a great start, so can't thank all them enough, and, you know, we got another moto.
Speaking of changes, it seems like this track is ever changing, even from practice into the race now. How different was it, and what do you expect from Moto 2?
I think it's going to be rough, and the lines are going to be tough to follow in the second moto. So the base of this place is very hard, a lot of really hard clay. So it's going to be tough to find good lines, but you're going to have to search.
Congratulations.
Folks, you can check out Racer TV's coverage of the Grand National Cross Country Series at Park City, Kentucky. That's June the 16th on the NBC Sports Network. That's 3 hours of dirt bike racing deep in the woods of Kentucky. That should be fun to watch. Let's send it back down to the podium.
Justin Barcia back on the podium. Justin, you talked about learning the pace of these guys up front and also knowing when to push it. At some point, did you decide to back it off and save a little for Moto 2?
You know, I was going for it pretty hard, trying to get Ryan in the beginning, and he rode a really strong, clean race. Made a few little mistakes and lost touch of him, and just rode my own race from there. I'm going to go back, regroup, get the bike all good, and try to get him the second Moto.
That said, we saw you do something we haven't seen yet this season. You made a pass on Ryan Villopoto. Didn't quite stick, but did that give you a little bit of confidence?
Definitely confidence. You know, when you run with the best guys in the world, it feels pretty good. And definitely going to keep trying to get them. You know, it's not going to be easy. Just going to keep pinning it.
All right, thank you.
That's the theory right there. Just keep on pinning it. This is the season schedule. We'll go to High Point, then we'll have our first weekend off. We'll return at Budds Creek in Maryland, work our way through the East. By the way, the Southwick National Moto X338, that will be the last ever at that deep sand track up in Massachusetts. So join us there June 29th. Let's send it back down to Kelly.
Well, you know Ryan Dungey wants to be up there competing for that win. You didn't make it easy on yourself, though. A tough start. Talk about working your way through the field to get on the podium.
Yeah, I got off to a good jump off the gate, but started clutching it. You know, it really killed us, and everybody kind of swallowed us up, and we did our best to recover. You know, we got shuffled behind there, lost some time there in the beginning, just trying to make our way through. That's part of the deal, not getting a start, but everything felt pretty good. You know, so we'll try to regroup and get ready for this next one.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks.
So that's your third place rider. 250 Moto number 1 will be coming up in a bit. But we're going to talk about Brian Deegan, one of the graduates from this sport into some other exciting ventures. Stay with us.
The Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship has been brought to you by Lucas Oil, the world leader of high-performance lubricants and problem-solving additives. By Kawasaki, let the good times roll. And by Geico Motorcycle, see how much you could save.
Well, we do a lot of talk about training that the riders have to go through to compete at this level of motocross, but apparently motocross provides pretty good training ground for some other sports, and one of the graduates of this type of racing has moved on to some great things with Ford and the Octane Academy. We're talking about Brian Deegan, founder of the Metal Militia. Here's more on what Deegan has going on right now.
What's up? Brian Deegan here, part of the Octane Academy Season 2, founded by Ford. After a long career of dirt bikes, the injuries eventually caught up with me, and I needed to get into a roll cage. They say with age comes the cage, so I moved into the Lucas Oil Off-Road Series. I love off-road racing because it brings me back to the feeling of motocross. It's a battle. You're out there getting roosted in the face, big jumps, high speed, full contact. That's why I love off-road. The Octane Academy is a competition headed by myself, Ken Block, Tanner Faust, Von Gittin Jr., where we pick everyday people to be on our teams and get their chance to become professional drivers. It's pretty cool. We're going to be putting 24 contestants through a series of intense challenges. Anything from drift, rally, off-road. In my camp, drivers will be driving the F-150 SVT Raptor. It's going to be exciting. The Octane Academy starts on NBC Sports Network on June 17th. What the contestants will win is a life-changing experience to get to come hang out with me and the other pros, and a $50,000 Ford Racing Scholarship, a Ford vehicle of their choice, and the chance to go to elite driving school. Pretty sick. To find out more, go to OctaneAcademy.com for more details on Season 2.
250 riders are on the gate. There are 40 of them, not 250 of them, but these 250cc bikes fly on this track, and you'll see when we come back.